Hi, and welcome to my beginner's tips and tricks video for Pop-Up Dungeon. I am Icon, and in this video I'm going to talk about the most basic things you might want to know to have more fun and success with this game. I'm going to talk about things concerning the party roster, and after that we're going to jump into a dungeon and I'm going to spread some more nice ideas, tips and tricks that might help you there as well. And if you like that kind of content, check out my channel. You'll find plenty of other strategy game content there, turn-based combat as well, so maybe you'll find something you like. If so, leave a subscription and you will get notified whenever something new and tasty shows up. So first off, we're going to look at the party roster here. The first thing I want to talk about is the party roster has a maximum size of 5, but you're not forced to use that. The game scales its difficulties according to your own party size and power, so only pick what you're feeling comfy with managing. That's a very good way of growing into the game, because this game has a high learning curve. I'm far away from being a proficient player of this game myself, but I'm really enjoying it, and the basic learning curve is something I can share with you here. So for today I'm going to build up a party of 4, and I'm going to talk about why and how I set up these people. So first off, we want to check out the box here. We have here a really nice tool that lets us select the available characters according to their role. I would always say bring at least one tank. Every character here has assigned more roles than just one. If we look at the paladin here, he's a tank, a damage dealer, and a healer. So the order is also exactly the order of skill balancing weight. So Thorian is mainly a tank and a little bit of a healer. And if we look at the other people here, you see here Chimazine would be a tank and a damage dealer, most likely 50-50. So we're going to pick up the paladin here as person number 4. So I like to have tanks in my formations because they're very versatile and help you to control the battlefield.
All the health potions I can drink, you say?
I would strongly advise pick up people you like to play with, and we're going to get into that topic in a moment. So after that comes damage. Always bring enough damage to your party. It's way easier to win with a party that has too much damage compared to win with a party that has too much utility and support. Most of the time when you weigh up too much damage, you have to think about how to burst down proper targets and win the fight out of that by creating a very early overpowering in numbers factor for your own grid. But if you're having too much support and heal, you're most likely not killing anything, and there's almost no way in tackling too difficult challenges. When you have too much damage, well, your brain can help you. Maybe it's not enough, but sometimes you just need more support and it doesn't work with too much damage too. There are scenarios, but generally, as a rule of thumb, it's easier to win with too much damage. I can not emphasize that strongly enough. So we're bringing here 2 damage dealers in this party. I have the samurai, who's a pure damage dealer, and I bring Orin, who's also a pure damage dealer. Short range and long range to have some versatility mix up in the team, and I brought up the internet troll, whose roles are control, damage, and support. So you see here, everybody here is having at least a secondary role for a damage, and I have 2 different ways of controlling the combat with that. You're free to pick up whatever you want. There are pure and dedicated healers here. There are supporters. These things are very, very useful. Control, I like to talk a moment about that. Control characters are most of the time units that are able to control the combat by debuffing or immobilizing your enemies in such ways. So control is a way of controlling the combat by debuffing your enemies without killing them directly. So, enough of that. How to find out if a character is to your liking or not. You can right-click them here, and then you see their basic character sheet. But here we see only the common version of the unit at a rank of a novice. I strongly advise you to pick this wheel here and crank it all the way up to Legendary. This way, when you look it up, you see the whole available skill bar for this unit. These skills are all tailored to the character class and bound to their respective items. So if we would get Anon a complete set of these items, he would have these skills. Skills are connected to items and to some degree also to characters. Some skills are fixated to your character, but most skills are fixated to your items. So if we mouse over the Flail to Fail, you see the skill Fake News is tiered to that. So when we look it up like that, we have a much more complete vision of what this character is going to be compared to the common thing where you only see two or three skills. And for me, that's pretty hard to get a full picture about this character and his role. So if we look at the Paladin, where you see here a lot of different skills that he can use at some point of the game, you can also see to which item they are tiered. So it's a very good thing to get a idea beforehand starting the game with that. So this party is something I want to play, and we're going to get into the endless mode for that because I don't want to fill this video with story. So there we go, let's get there. For starters, we're going to get into the first combat, and I'm going to explain a few little things until we get there. So there we go. So there's the dungeon. These things are always desirable interactables, because this, for example, is a upgrade shrine. Well, it's not so much of a beginner's tip, but upgrade shrines are served best when you already have some equipment found that you want to upgrade. Right now I have only basic starter equipment, so I'm going to save that for later. So next thing I want to talk about, all these props around you are destroyable by a simple left click. You can search for those with a coin next to them, and these give you some money when you click them. This is not necessarily a thing you have to do, but it is a mini game that you can use. So the game is, of course, the map is of course tiltable and panable, but I think most of you are aware of that. I don't want to emphasize basic controls too much. So we're going to explore this place and see what it has to offer for us. And another thing, when you're exploring like that and you're getting bored, hold down the shift key and the game speeds up. You can configure the rate of speeding up and how it should work in the options menu. I for myself have upgraded the game to double speed before when I hold down the shift button. I think the basic configuration is 1.5. Alright, so now we have a first combat. As you can see here, the blue squares are all the squares where I can pick up and drop down my units. It's pretty simple, left click and another left click. After that you get asked about their facing. Facing is pretty important in this game because, for example, our friend Musashi here is having an awful back defense. That means whenever somebody manages to get into his back, he gets a lot more damage. Overall, I would strongly advise you to grow accustomed to this screen a little bit more. It's not exactly a beginner's thing, that's why I'm not going to talk about this too much in this video. It's more of an advanced thing. But what I want to say in this video already, everything which is underlined is hyperlinked and will explain you how it works. So basically, whenever you wonder how things work, check out this screen, try to find it somewhere between the lines, and you're going to find all these skills and effects one day to be quite understandable. So what does all this mean though? I already talked about the blue squares. The numbers here, these are the blue ones are your action points, and you see the bubble is not entirely full. So whenever I end my turn, Orin gets this amount of AP plus per round, and you can see here he has he can store up to 20. I'm emphasizing this so much because if you look at these here, these are your movement points, and the globe is full. Unlike action points, Movement points cannot be stored between turns, but action points can be. Sometimes that's very, very powerful and valuable to do that. And there are lots of things that influence your ability power and your movement, ability points and your movement, but more of that in another video. So first off, since I now know already pretty well how my character's skills work, I'm going to explain them along the fly. Let's have a look at our enemies. If you don't have a clue how your enemies work, in the lower difficulties, most of the time you can just run head-on into them, but what I strongly advise is always take a look on this bar first. So I see here, the young witch is the first person to act. So I'm going to put Orin into a vicinity where I can be sure that he's able to attack the young witch. Then I have a look at Musashi. So I'm going to put him up front here. He's a damage dealer, he wants to act as quick as possible. Maybe he's even able to kill the next guy. So then we look at Thorian, and then these guys are acting. Last up is Anan. He's the slowest of the crowd, so we're going to place him here. And overall, always try to have some plan about why you place down your people at the beginning of the combat and how you do that. I'm not certainly saying that you have to have the best plan, but try to have some plan. Because if you have no plan, you're going to get destroyed quite quickly. Maybe not at the first fight, maybe not at the second or third, but at some point you will get punished heavily for not thinking about before acting. So let's get started with this battle. So a lot of things are already explained before the game started, where our first target is to take down the young witch. So Orin has only 3 skills available. His fireball skill has a cooldown of 2 turns, and such skills have to charge up before you can use them. They are never off cooldown when you start the combat. So whenever is some skills having more than a cooldown of 1, you have to wait until you can use them. It's a quite nice thing, because that also means the nasties over there can't use their stuff right away at you too. Pretty useful. Alright, so let's talk about these skills here. The main difficulty between the lightning bolt and the frost bolt lies in the way they deal damage and in the way they target at goals. So, at their targets. How they aim at their targets. Words sometimes. Alright, so the green icon here right next to the range means no line of sight is required. The red icon here means a line of sight is required. So my first action is I just hope that the lightning bolt will be enough to burst down the young witch. So I'm going to pick up the card and drag it up here, and then I aim where I want to have it. Click once, click twice, click 3 times sometimes, but actually it's always 2 clicks usually, and now the lightning bolt let us down. That's not so much of a surprise, because this first icon says electrical damage 49 to 280. The total HP of the young witch are 211, so there was a good chance to begin with that this action was not able to take her down. So now she takes an attack, and Anan fires off a reaction skill. Going to explain that in a moment. So,
my sword is drawn.
Before Musashi takes his action, I want to explain to you what happened here. So, the young witch used its puppet skill, which deals 229, I think it's dark damage, over the turn of 2 turns. And it also transfers 30% of the damage this unit suffers to the people that are getting it aimed at with this attack. Sometimes it is very hard to understand how skills work. I have to say that's one of the hardest parts about this game to manage. The only thing I can say, try them out, watch them if you don't understand them. Like in 90% of the time I manage to find out how they work when I watch them long enough. This game has a little bit of a cryptic wording which you need to get used to, but once you get used to, you'll notice it's actually awesome. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but this game has a very, very powerful sandbox environment, sandbox coding, which allows you to pretty much create every skill you want to, but the downside is that the descriptions are a little bit, well, eccentric. Okay, let's call him eccentric. Anyways, we have to kill that witch, and I'm going to use Musashi's skill. This deals slashing damage to the target in this amount, and we have a 73% chance to give ourselves the Wakizashi ability for 1 turn. So let's attack that girl. And as we see here, the damage gets shared, and the burden debuff and the damage over time debuff get removed with the death of this unit. Every debuff dies with the death of the unit itself. So Anan reacted, by the way, with his VPN ability, which reacts whenever some enemy targets a damaging ability at him, and then it goes off to the next enemy and transfers 52% of the damage for 1 turn. So basically what this guy does is he transfers 50% of the damage he suffers to some random target. That's some sort of defensive mechanism which has a cooldown now, which has a limited number of uses and will only fire off if he has 2 action points available whenever somebody attacks. As we see here, he had 5, now he only has 3 left. So when somebody has reaction skills, always keep the amount of action points available at the end of the turn if you want to have some chance of firing them up. So now Musashi killed this guy, and I think I'm going to use this here, and now I can look if there's any chance of hitting any enemies, but the cursor always shows only the back icon. The only person I could attack would be Orin. And one word of caution, this game gives you the chance of just double-clicking skills and using them at the next available target. In this scenario, if we would double-click Mikazuki, I would attack my own person. Be aware of that. The double-clicking function of this game is nice and dandy, but only use it when you're 100% sure it aims at an enemy and it aims at somebody you actually want to kill with. So we see here, due to the mistakes we made at the beginning, we already lost somebody. But one of my trinkets that I have equipped brought him back. I'm going to talk about trinkets later, or no, charms. So I used Thorian to just smack this guy. I'm not going to talk about Thorian's skills too much here, because so we can see here some action of the witch attacking this guy and Musashi reacting to that. I don't want to explain every single skill because that's not the target of this video. I want much more to explain you how to understand it yourself. So whenever you ask yourself, what did that spaghetti just do to me? Look up the enemy and check it out. So this skill destroys any damage reflection skills of your units. Good that I didn't bring anyone. And it reduces the amount of body defense. So I'm pretty sure that, yeah, you see here, this icon is the same icon like this one. So the pattern of the spaghetti is to remove a part of your defenses and then hit you even harder with its al dente attack. So always check it out if you're not sure. And that's how you can deal with lots of things. Also, another word of advice, friendly fire is a thing in this game, so we're going to use the fireball here to illustrate that. I'm going to pick it up, and as you see here, these red squares depict which units will get hit by the fireball. While I could hit the Hockey Massacre with that, you even get some readout how much damage every unit would get, minus their or plus their vulnerabilities or resistances. It's very, very good to see that. Let's click somewhere else outside of the map to put the fireball back. The thing here is, if I would just blindly double click it, it would fire at this grid here and would wound Thorian as well, which is not really good. I mean, okay, I would kill Hockey Massacre. I'm sorry, I misspelled this guy. But I'm actually way more interested in hurting these two people here, and then using Musashi to kill the Massacre. And this way we're going to get done here a lot less worse. Okay, I'm using the Mikazuki here because the skill has the ability to hit diagonally. The other skill of his doesn't have that, so this guy is down. And Musashi still has ability points and movement points left, so I'm going to use his other skills to finish off more enemies with that. So picking up the unit with more HP, because there's a chance that he gets a Wakizashi, and well, oh, the witch is not dead yet, so we're going to use that one. This one I just double-clicked because I know that under these circumstances, she's going to be, the unit's going to get killed no matter what. And now I only need to use Thorian's Divine Strike to get that done. Before I end this combat, Thorian has a lay hand skill. So you see here, whenever something is depicted as plus, it's most of the time a healing effect. If there's no plus, it's a damage effect. Just some ground rules to make it easier for you to understand how to read those cards. Because when I started this game, it was actually the most difficult part for me to understand how to read these ability cards. So his other skill is Sanctuary. You see here with those red X's around him, he creates a zone which increases the defense of the targets for 3 turns. And if his own defense exceeds the defense of his friendly targets, he will even pick up 46% of the damage for his buddies. This is one of his most powerful skills, but we're going to smack down the spaghetti and end this combat. Alright. So holding down shift to speed this thing up, and now we get our loot. So, if we're wondering what's haste, you don't know what haste is, just equip it to somebody. Oh. Okay, it didn't replace anything. Sometimes, if this would have replaced anything on Musashi, you would have gotten the old item into the inventory. I just wanted to show you how to read that out, but sadly, I can't read out my squad because I don't know why, but for some reason I can't check out the stats of my squad. I think I haven't found out yet if I can how. So we're going to walk through this place here. Alright, there's another encounter. So here's what I wanted to show you guys. So if you don't know what an item does, well, I can't look it up here. But basically what I wanted to say here, this item is not getting used because the katana is a two-handed item. But if we would equip this item, the haste effect starts to show up here at the statistics or the defenses, and then you can mouse over and see what the stat does. Whenever you're not sure what a stat does on an item, just equip it shortly, look at the stats of your unit by right-clicking it, and check out what that does, and then you have to decide for yourself. So here goes the next combat. We're up against some more baddies. We're not going to talk about too much here. I'm just going to get through this here. Oh, I triggered a bug. So looks like if we do it like that, if we look up the stats of a unit, overall this combat looks pretty booked. Game. Alright, so I'm going to abort mission here because obviously I have managed to trigger a bug, but I think the video is complete in itself as it is. I think I was able to show off enough tips and tricks to make your life easier already, so obviously don't do that for the time being with this version. Don't look up your character's stats while you're in the deployment mode. That seems to screw up everything. I don't know, maybe the reason was something else. Whatever might have been the case, I thank you so much for watching, and of course I hope I was able to help you. Feel free to fill the comments down below with even more information you might find worthwhile sharing, and yeah, I hope we're going to see each other again, and until then, have a wonderful time everybody. Bye bye.